Welcome back in, everybody, for the final, and I promise you, this is the final segment of the Ashish and Sports and Political Podcast. I was planning to discuss social issues and race with you today, as we've already discussed taxes, regulation, major foreign policy issues at this point. I don't think I thank the man upstairs that ISIS is not a discussion point right at this current juncture, but at some point I will likely discuss the usage of motor vehicles and stuff we can't stop people from owning to harm innocent citizens. I'm going to talk about immigration. I think immigration, I might talk about immigration tomorrow, actually, because that in itself can be considered a social issue. I can link it with national defense. I can link it with economics. Immigration is a social issue that encompasses both topics. So, we'll talk race, immigration, gay rights, transgenderism, stuff like that. All things you would consider social issues. And for some of these topics, especially race and immigration, how they relate to economic conditions in the United States and national security and security within the domestic ranks here at home. But anyway, let me start with this. Or let me end with this. I just talked about what we should do to fix healthcare. What we should do to fix healthcare in a conservative way. Cut taxes, cut regulation, increase competition, and make sure that insurance companies have no reason to jack up costs to those that own insurance that are normally able, and also increase an emphasis on group insurance markets so that through the free market, people with pre-existing conditions can decide which companies are cheaper to go to and get individually cheaper rates, simply because they're in this market that usually does reduce individual rates because it's a group of people. Right, those were my main points. Also, adjusting the individual mandate, taking away the employer mandate, a simplified national regulatory structure to make everything condensed, simplified, easy to follow, and this will provide a path towards taking away state lines, allowing competition throughout the entire country. My second part of this discussion is why the Republicans decided to do health care anyway. And it is one of the most mystifying things, that I have seen, that I have heard of in policy debate, in politics, to do. Paul Ryan, is one of the biggest idiots for deciding to do this. He is so ridiculously stupid for deciding to do health care instead of taxes. That's the stupidest decision you could have thought of, because everybody wanted taxes cut. Everybody wanted regulations cut. Nobody wanted healthcare reform. Nobody wanted that. He knows that. They didn't vote for Trump because of Obamacare. No one even talked about Obamacare in the campaign. This stupid little line that I heard from those Republican House members, oh, they elected us to repeal Obamacare. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. They voted for you to repeal something that, by the way, is very popular among the people that use it. There are issues, there are significant issues, but instead of trying to tweak it, you tear the whole thing down. That's your plan, number one. Number two, you decide to do the thing that's not popular instead of doing the objective that got you elected. Trade deals, economics, tax reform, bonuses, deregulating, immigration. The stuff that actually got you elected, you choose not to do instead of healthcare. Instead of trade and immigration, the two things that won you guys the election, you choose health care. And you choose to try and take away a health care law that, by the way, affects like 8% of this country, where tax reform and regulation reform can affect this country in a positive way. It can affect all the citizens in this country in a positive way. You decided to do that. Why? Because no one was talking about tax reform before Trump ran and before Trump got elected. Nobody was talking about immigration before this happened. Right? Everybody was talking about Obamacare. Obamacare was the major legislative win under the previous administration, and you want to wipe that away and show that you've been doing some work by coming up with this plan that'll work for everybody, that, by the way, no one likes. Oh my gosh, what a smart idea. What a way to waste 10 months of a presidency working on a law that, by the way, even if it's stupid, has good things in it. Tweak it. Get it done quick. Don't demolish the whole thing and make this a stupid political mess, allowing people like Nancy Pelosi to change the narrative and call this some type of draconian law. Are you kidding me? That is a disgrace. That is a joke. The Republican Party should never have done health care to begin with. They should have done the popular stuff first. Okay? Because in that way, they would have garnered support for their candidates. They would have garnered support for Trump. This tax thing is extremely popular. But you know why everybody's quiet about it? Because y'all were fighting about health care for 10 months. A law that nobody wanted fully repealed, but you did for some egoistic pride that you've been doing work for 8 years. Seriously, no one cares about health care. 8% do. Don't make them mad. But the other 92% don't waste their time trying to fix a law entirely instead of tweaking it, number one. Number two, do the thing that affects all of the citizens in a positive way. You finally done that, but it might be too late for midterms, and hopefully it isn't too late when it comes to elections. When it comes to the important election of the presidency. But it seems like it's too late for the midterms. You should have done this 8-10 months ago. Not now. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You chose to do healthcare over taxes, Paul Ryan. How ridiculous, how egoistic are you? You want to show that you've been doing some major legislative work over the past 7 years, that you come up with your own ideas, so you decided to go to healthcare? Man, how stupid are you? You yourself, okay, cost this party the midterms. You did that. Because people aren't going to vote for senators because of the Russian thing. That affects the president. That doesn't affect the entire party. What affects the party are things within each state, such as the money in each person's bank account by midterm time. The effects, while they may still be large, may cost you Senate seats, may cost you majority, because you did this too late. You should have done this a long time ago when the positive effects could be felt for a prolonged period of time. It saturates among people, and they actually understand that this code isn't just for rich people, it's for everybody. But you did it too late. Your first major legislative win is a year after the guy gets elected, when it's clear what his ideals are, and when you hold majorities in both the House and Senate. That tells me Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, kudos for getting this done, but it should have happened 8 months ago, 10 months ago. For you to focus on health care instead of taxes, you don't have your priorities right. And for it to take this long for the tax thing to even get signed off by the Senate and the House, man, the Republican Party has some leadership issues from the top down, but especially from people like Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. You know what, Paul Ryan? You should, resign. You know why? Because you weren't able to do anything. Everyone knew Republicans were united on cutting taxes, and you waited until the end of the year to do that. You thought healthcare would go through? You thought that? Come on, man. These dudes represent their states. They want to be saying, we gave you more money in your pocket. Not we took away your health care. The senators that didn't vote for this aren't stupid. They know what they're getting themselves into by not voting for this. They're keeping their seats. Because if they do vote for the health care law, if they did do that, and it turned out negative, they wouldn't have gotten their seats. But by voting for tax reform, because it cuts taxes on the middle class, they are getting votes. You're the House leader. It's clear to everyone that this is the case. And did you ever think, well, Well, gee, maybe there's a reason why we're not getting enough votes for healthcare. Maybe there's a reason why it took so little time for tax reform to actually go through, for regulatory reform to go through. Dude, your ego, that you worked hard, that you unified a party for healthcare. Put your ego aside and do what's right for the party and do what the people want. Thankfully you did it, but you did it 10 months too late. It's ridiculous that you spent time on healthcare instead of tax reform and immigration. It's ridiculous that you did that. And that's a statement about your leadership. It's a statement about Mitch McConnell's leadership. I don't want them to be getting so much kudos for this tax thing, because they wasted 10 months of time. They could have done this a lot earlier. Okay? They probably should have. Unless it was their intention to delay to make sure revenues are caught up. That's the only reasonable explanation I can get from this. But because you're cutting the budget so much as well, by the way, they're cutting the budget steeply on things that don't affect low or middle income people, so no big deal on that. But because of your steep budget cuts, you don't need to wait for revenues. You don't need revenues to flood in at the last moment to offset costs. Your numbers already do that. So why didn't you do it beforehand? Why didn't you do it in 2017? Not 2018. Why did you wait? There was no need to. You might have lost your majority in the House and Senate because you decided to wait, putting your ego ahead of what's good for the party and what the people want. So it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, that you chose healthcare instead of taxes, and I hope you resign, because that, my friend, shows you how terrible the leadership is under Paul Ryan. Alright, so sorry for my little rant there, Paul Ryan, but you deserve it. You cost this party 10 months, and they're never going to get this 10 months back. Okay? They're not going to. And it makes it that much more difficult to negotiate with Democrats on stuff you guys actually agree with. But anyway, I'm done today. Thanks for our sports people and our politicians for giving us great stories. Let's make this country a better place. Hopefully I'm doing that one day at a time with my insight. Hopefully you are too. Tomorrow we have a loaded show. Loaded political show. Race, social issues, gay rights, transgenders, immigration, all of that coming up tomorrow. And we'll track the latest sports stories, though it's going to be a more politically centric show tomorrow, which is going to be centered towards politics. Though, might I add that it was more split down the middle than I thought it would be today. But you're talking about like 3-4 sports topics to one political topic. You can argue either way. But tomorrow, more politically centered discussions, and we'll still get you updated on the sports and give you sports information and analysis. And to end the week, I hope you all have a great weekend. We'll join you 7 days a week on weekends as well. But enjoy that. I know it's Thursday, but enjoy the first weekend after the long break that many of you have had. Other than that, not much to say, but a big show tomorrow, exciting show tomorrow. Thoughtful, analytical, informative. Very excited. And we'll see you then. Thank you. Bye-bye.